Okay, so today you're here hopefully to learn about STEM. So we're going to talk about hands-on play and some STEM ideas for you to do at home with your kiddos and a little bit about the importance of STEM. So hopefully you all know a little bit about STEM. That's probably why you were intrigued about today's session. So Childcare Answers is who is presenting today. So I work for Childcare Answers as the Family Support Specialist. You can visit us online with lots of parenting tips and recorded webinars at childcareanswers.com/yourchild. And you could also follow us on social media. So we're active on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then we also have a very active YouTube channel where we are posting lots and lots of videos and web links, as well as our recorded webinars. So visit us there as well. So this is me, so Family Support Specialist. My email is up on the screen as well, but I will post this slide at the end so you don't have to write this down. So in my role as Family Support Specialist, I deliver parent webinars and face-to-face trainings in the non-COVID world. And then I also provide one-on-one support for families. So if there are any things that you're needing assistance with, whether it's developmental milestones, breastfeeding, biting, you have a child with special needs that you want to chat about, or that transition to kindergarten, or anywhere in between of all of that when it comes to your child's development, I can connect with you one-on-one. I can share resources, I can answer your questions. We can either chat via email or have a Zoom meeting. You can tell me a little bit about what's going on. I would say the #1 requested thing for me is typically potty training. I have a lot of people connecting with me, asking questions about pottying and all of that. I'm also a certified lactation counselor, specializing in that transition from home to childcare for that breastfed baby or toddler. And then I also have 10 years of experience as an infant toddler specialist. So those young kiddos are definitely my specialty, whether you're pregnant and expecting, or you are getting ready to transition to pottying, or your toddler is biting, I'm your gal. I can connect with you and help you out. So just let me know. I'm also a mom of 2. I have an almost 7-year-old. He'll be 7 in just a few weeks. And then I have a 2.5-year-old at home, a little girl. She is napping. Hopefully my loud talking doesn't wake her up, but it is what it is, especially as working from home with our kiddos, you completely understand. In addition of what I'm going to share with you today, I just want to let you know that the majority of the things that I'm going to share ideally are things that don't require a lot of time or energy on your behalf as a parent. They're things that your kiddos are going to love to do, but ideally don't require a lot of effort on your part, because I know that you have a lot going on. You're tired, you're parenting, you're at home. Some of you, if you are back to work, you're juggling that balance of back to work and your child is in care. And I know you have a lot going on. So I wanted to make these experiences as simple and easy as possible for you, so that you actually want to do them and you don't look at these as a list of things that you have no interest in ever doing. So with that being said, today we're going to explore STEM. So if you don't know what STEM stands for, it stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And it's typically kind of this way of thinking and not necessarily learning about these skills individually. STEM builds those skills for lifelong learning. So children who have access to STEM education are basically then given those skills that help them achieve those future skills for their workforce. It's also about really having those tools to create and invent, as well as make their ideas a reality. It ignites this lifelong love of exploration and learning, which is kind of the way that children learn from the start. And as they get older and as they go to traditional schools, sometimes they lose this sense of exploration and learning. And STEM allows children to kind of keep that mindset through adulthood. It's a mindset that I wish I had more of as an adult, and something I'm trying to kind of push with my kids so that they continue to think outside of the box and think about problem solving in a different way. We also want to encourage our kids to not just be consumers of technology, but also makers of technology, that there are so many creative and imaginative ways to reach a desired outcome. And what I love about STEM is that there's not one way of doing something. There are multiple different approaches to reaching similar outcomes. So it allows children to create kind of outside of the box. Also, young kids learn by doing. That's how they learn to start with. And so STEM really kind of models that thinking that they understand in a way that allows them to problem solve using their hands and their body. So STEM in the workforce. So one of the things that was mentioned in the video that I will send out is about the importance of these STEM skills in the workforce. Now it's important, but when our children are adults, it will be even more critical. So 75% of the fastest growing occupations require STEM skills, and 40% of current jobs are no longer going to exist in the future, which is why creating these skills and problem solving are essential for our young children. And currently 71% of global employers identify STEM employees as their most innovative. They're seeking those types of employees as they're recruiting and filling positions. So by giving children experiences in STEM and creating that sort of love of learning, we're giving them a better opportunity at finding a great job as they graduate from college and enter the workforce. Additionally, only 26% of STEM jobs are currently held by women. So it's important that we're ensuring our girls as well as boys are exposed to and encouraged in the areas of STEM. STEM education also bridges the ethnic and gender gaps sometimes found in math and science fields. So initiatives have been established to create and increase the roles of women and minorities in STEM related fields, as well as STEM education breaks those traditional gender roles. So it's really giving, especially our girls and our children from diverse backgrounds, kind of a leg up or a better start when it comes to them as adults and entering the workforce. And the good news is that children are born curious. They start out from birth as a natural scientist as they discover their world. So STEM kind of way of thinking is really the way that young children, especially babies, start out in the world. And we can use daily routines to build on these skills and concepts. And really, as a parent, it's very simple. We really start out with our babies and our young children by talking, reading, singing, playing, signing, or using other ways to communicate with them, whatever works best for that individual child. And these are things that can help develop their exploration and their play skills. And it's really as simple as just having conversations as your child plays. So these are all of the skills that are developed as children are engaging in problem solving or STEM activities. Activities or toys that support STEM really involve this idea of observing and asking questions. What's going on and how can I solve a problem? It's also about defining problems and then looking for evidence to solve that problem, evaluating information, planning and investigating, measuring, using tools, which are all practices of scientists and engineers that you can encourage at home. Some of these are activities that you can create or toys that you can buy, like I'll mention later, but other things are just allowing your child to help around the house by helping you cook, repair a bicycle, gardening, helping you fix the toilet, taking care of a pet. These are all activities that are things that we're already doing at home that can help support our child's STEM skills. Additionally, STEM is about discovery. So it's about exploring the world around us and asking questions about how or why something works. The good news is children are already great at this. And as their parents and partners in learning, you can make STEM a part of their intentional play. Kind of think about when you were a child and that sense of wonder and awe as you explored new things, or as you kind of problem solved and thought about the way things work. These are all of the things that children are getting through STEM. As a parent, you can use math concepts as you engage and talk with your children. So point out the rectangular side of a truck or the circle or triangle shaped sign as you wait at the bus stop or you're walking down the street. You can help your child count the number of crackers in their snack and compare that to how many blueberries they have, or sort a variety of everyday objects according to size, color, shape, or type. My daughter was at my parents' house yesterday and she's 2.5, and my mom sent a picture of her sorting the silverware. So she had the silverware tray out and my mom gave her a stack of silverware and she had her sort them into the right kind of areas or components. So even those simple everyday skills, which not only helps you as a parent, but also allows them that opportunity to sort based on characteristics, which are those pre-math skills that are going to help them be successful later in life. Also looking at the world around us. So again, observing is an important piece of science and technology. Something I've mentioned several times already is this power of observation. So allowing us to kind of communicate throughout the day with what children see, feel, smell, taste, or hear. And you can ask children specific questions that help them observe and kind of take a step back. So saying things like, wow, that's a tall tower. How many blocks did you use to make that structure? 1, 2, 3, 4. You used 4 blocks to make that tower, is connecting those math concepts that I just mentioned, as well as a sense of observation. And then as we have these conversations, we're showing our child that we're just as interested in what they're doing as they are, which is going to continue that exploration cycle. Another thing you can say that helps them kind of connect and look around at the world around us is, you're wearing your raincoat today. How does the raincoat protect you when it's cold and raining? Or things like, you're wearing a raincoat. I wonder why that is. Just to even get them to connect, I'm wearing my raincoat because it's raining outside. And additionally, asking those open-ended questions. So things like, I wonder if, or what would happen if. So I wonder if we can build a tower out of marshmallows or sticks. You know that you can, but it's getting your child to think about, can I, and how might I do that? Or, I wonder why the leaves are turning yellow and brown. And giving your child that opportunity to think about it. I wonder why that is happening. Why might that be? Allowing your child to kind of process through that and maybe come up with their own reasoning, which may be wrong, it may be right. That's totally fine. It's just thinking through that process. It's also okay to ask questions that you don't know the answer to. And what's great about that is then you can go together and say, you know what, I'm not sure, let's go look that up together. Additionally, it's following our child's lead through play. So we're observing them. So we're observing them observe. We're observing our child closely to see what they're looking at, what they're pointing to, or what they seem curious about. It's all about exploration, and it's following our child's lead in play. When we follow their lead, we can really expand what they learn and the ways in which they learn. As a parent, I never thought I would know as much as I do about vacuum cleaners or construction trucks, but it were the two things that as a toddler, my son was super into. So I learned just probably as much as he did. I know other parents have had similar experiences with dinosaurs or things like that. So as we explore and we observe what they're interested in, we're able to follow that lead and really take learning off in a whole different direction. It also allows us to learn alongside of our child. Again, I know every type of construction truck to the point where we were getting books from the library and I was recognizing errors inside of these books, labeling a bulldozer as a front loader. And I would say, that's not right. Let's, contact the publisher to let them know that they made some errors in their books. Before following his lead and watching him and learning alongside of him, I would have never known that. But it allows us to learn too. It also allows us to say, that's a great question. How about we find this out together? And using YouTube, the internet, or books to help kind of problem solve and think about the answer to something. My son is really into bugs right now, and he's catching bugs. And he learned a really hard lesson yesterday that when you catch a bee and you put it in a net, it still stings you through the net. So I think he was a little down that this bug that he was trying to explore got him. But you know what? That's a life lesson. So we were able to have this conversation about why that might have happened, which then allowed us to look up different things on YouTube about bees and learning about the different kinds of bees that there are in the world. Coyote Peterson is a great example of someone who learns about bees and stings and insects. And in fact, my son has a YouTube kind of meeting or kind of a learning time with Coyote Peterson this afternoon about bites. So it's an opportunity for me to kind of learn alongside of him because I'm going to watch it with him because I'm just as curious as he is. And additionally, read and sing. So incorporate books and songs into everyday life. While you're washing your hands, make up a song about washing the tops, bottoms, and betweens. Use words, STEM words, and build that vocabulary. Sing songs with repetitive patterns like Wheels on the Bus or Old MacDonald's. And these patterns are STEM concepts. So we might seem silly reading a book over and over or singing the Wheels on the Bus while we're driving down the street. But by doing that, we are building the science, technology, engineering, and math skills in our children. And then good old why, right? So children ask questions and we want to encourage those questions. I know as a working parent right now that when the questions start coming my way, I kind of tune out or check out. There's too many, it's too much, I have to work, please stop talking to me. But when I tell him, please stop talking to me, I'm diminishing his sense of wonder, I'm diminishing his self-esteem, I'm telling him that I don't care about him. So I have to find ways to say, I love your questions. Can you hold that for a second? Or can you go write that down? Or yes, let me listen to this one question and I'll answer it. And then mommy needs a moment. So research shows that preschoolers ask an amazing 76 information-seeking questions per hour. And again, as a working parent at home, you know that that's true. Because curiosity is at the heart of innovation and everything that children do. So we want to help support and uncover those questions and find out solutions in a way that is meaningful for the child and meaningful for you at the same time. And STEM allows us to do that. So when a child asks a question of saying, go figure it out or go draw a picture of what you think might happen, which are great ways of kind of pushing them off to say, I need to do something right now without diminishing that sense of wonder. If you do have a school ager, you can also kind of look it up and have them learn about it on their own, which is also nice too. So additionally, these are all of the skills that children learn through play, and STEM is all about hands-on play. So as children are playing and exploring, they're going through that cycle of exploration and they're learning key problem-solving skills. They're learning teamwork, negotiation. Hey, I want what you have. How can I use my words to say, hey, when you're done with that, can I have a turn, please? They're also learning to negotiate. Hey, when you're done working, Mom, can I have a turn to do something with you? My son will say, hey, Mom, when you're done with your training or when you're done with such and such, can we go build with Legos? Sure, buddy. When I'm done with this, we can go play. And this is how long we can play together. And then I need to go back to work or I need to go make dinner. They're also learning how to set goals and then fulfill that goal through problem solving, self-expression. They're learning how to follow rules. There are a lot of rules or unwritten rules within play. And they're learning how to kind of abide by those rules. They're learning creativity, resiliency, empathy. When my tower falls over or my spaceship that I made out of Legos isn't as cool as my son's and I'm feeling down, my son's learning how to empathize with me. They're learning self-confidence. They're learning how to interact, and they're learning communication skills. These are the skills that are foundational for kindergarten and lifelong learning. It is not about knowing their shapes, their colors, and their ABCs. These are the true skills that are the foundation of a lifelong learner. So what you've all been waiting for, right? Are the 20 STEM ideas to keep your summer exciting. So here are some things that you can do when you have a minute, or that you can put out and just allow your child to explore while you're engaged in something else that builds STEM skills and that are super fun, that you're going to want to get in the mix and play with as well. So again, before I share these, they're all in the handout in the chat that you can download, and I'll also send this all out so you don't have to write these all down. I didn't put a lot of directions because these are things that you can typically Google and find the directions if you need to revisit them. So there's are really just kind of examples and pictures, just spark your curiosity as a parent as well. So the first one is exploding soap experiment. This only works with ivory soap, so it's essential that you have that kind of soap. And basically you take a bar of soap, you put it on a plate, and you microwave it for 90 seconds. Very simple, but super fun. So what's awesome about this is you can see that change. What did the soap look like before? What did it look like after? How does it feel different? Does it smell different? Is there a different temperature? And you can really kind of get into it. It kind of feels like a fluffy cloud as it expands, and kids can kind of break it apart and feel it and play with it. And then as it hardens and cools, it does kind of contract, and you can stick it back in the microwave and microwave it again, which allows it to explode or expand. So this is super fun. You can just explore it, or you can ask a little bit of questioning and engage in more conversation with an older child about why things are happening, why they thought it was going to happen, what they expected to happen before you put it in the microwave, and so forth. Next is gardening. So gardening right now, it's a great time to start a garden or to work in the garden. It's an opportunity for children to see the life cycle of something growing. And it's also a great opportunity for children to experience foods that they may not have tried before. Children who grow their own fruits and vegetables try them a lot more often than children who just get them from a grocery store. It's also an opportunity to grow things that do certain things, like attract butterflies or bees or repel certain things. So there's a lot of learning that can happen from growing and gardening. You can have a giant extravagant garden in your yard, or just this simple growing kit within an old juice container. What's also great about this is there's so many different ways to take this. So we can just do basic gardening. I could maybe grow seeds in all 3 containers, put one in the garage, put one inside and one outside, and look at the differences and talk about why the one in the garage may not have grown like the one outside did, which is allowing them to then learn more about the life cycle of a seed and how plants grow, you know, with water, sunlight, and soil. Another activity is foam blocks and shaving cream. I love this. This is something I did when I was a toddler teacher, probably weekly. If you're worried about your child and shaving cream, you can also replicate this with whipped cream, which is delicious. There's a lot of different ways to do this, and this is also something you can do in the bathtub. So if you're worried about making a mess, either take it outside or put it in the bathtub. So what this does is it essentially, the shaving cream acts as a mortar for the bricks to hold them together. So you can have your child build with foam blocks, see how much of a tower they can create. Oh, you made a tower that was 4 blocks high, then introduce the shaving cream and see if their towers or structures change. and then have that conversation about why. Why did you only make a tower with 4 blocks before it fell over, but now you can use 10 when you introduce shaving cream? And this is another great thing to do if you have children of multiple ages. My 2-year-old loves this and my 7-year-old loves this, because STEM is all about learning and exploring on my own terms and within the power of what I can do physically. So my 2-year-old can explore to her level, and my 7-year-old can explore to his own level. And doing this with these open-ended materials allows them not to be held back in play and to kind of grow and explore within their own kind of body. The next is a video that obviously isn't going to work because you won't be able to hear it, but it is about exploring with crushed chalk in water to make chalk paint. So there is a video on our website and our YouTube channel about exploring with chalk. Just so happens to be my children exploring with chalk. So I will send that one out as well. But chalk is fun. We all have chalk laying around and it all gets broken. So you can crush up that chalk and then add a little bit of water and make a paint with it. What's fun about this is as you're painting on the sidewalk or the driveway, the longer it sits and the drier it gets, the more vibrant the colors are. So you can see that change. If you do not have chalk, you can use equal parts of cornstarch and water with a little bit of food coloring or liquid watercolor, and it does the same thing. So don't feel like you can't do this if you don't have chalk laying around. The next one, which is probably the most adult hands-on activity within what I'm going to share with you, is the cloud in a jar. And you can Google this if you want all of the different directions on how to do this. You can watch a YouTube video about this. But essentially what you do is you put hot water in a jar, you swirl it around a bit to warm it up, and then you take a lid, and you can use an old spaghetti jar with a lid, anything like that works. Recycling is great. You put the lid upside down like you see in this picture, put some ice on top, and then that reaction between the warm jar and the cold top is going to produce kind of this cloud within the jar. But it's not super easy to see until you remove the lid, quickly spray some hairspray into the jar, and then put the lid back on. The hairspray is going to stick to those molecules, and then you're able to see that cloud a little bit more, and that cloud appears, and it's super, super fun. The bonus is doing this activity on a foggy or cloudy day, and then connecting that to what they're seeing outside. Like I mentioned previously in the last slide, recycled materials are fantastic. So this is really just as simple as engineering with boxes and recycled materials. So whatever you have lying around, allow them to build and explore and create. They can cut them up, they can color on them, they can knock them down. You can save them for the next day, or you can put them all in the recycling when you're done playing and clean it all up and it's all gone. Whatever you want to do. Later, I have an example of exploring with recycled materials that are smaller materials as well. So anything that you have kind of lying around, and you can also take this activity outside, which is also really fun. Another example of an activity to do at home is building bridges. And these pictures, they're basically using popsicle sticks and tape. This can be a completely independent project, or something that you do together, or something that you do as a family, and it may be a competition and who can build the best bridge, or who can build the bridge that can withstand this sort of weight, whatever you kind of decide. But it's a nice engineering opportunity for them to be able to take certain materials, and maybe your child thinks about what materials they even want to start with, and tries to connect 2 pieces together with a bridge that's going to withstand either time or a weight, or be able to kind of sit there in space. Another activity is the Noodle Marble Run. This can be done in a variety of different ways depending on your child's age. So obviously if we're using a marble, we want to make sure that we're doing this with children over 3 or we're closely supervising. But we can always do this with a larger ball or a golf ball that can be more appropriate for a younger child and not a choking hazard. I remember when I was young, I went to science camp every summer. I know that sounds really cool, but I promise it was. And one of the things that we did in science camp, which was a week long, is we started in a classroom and then we would go off and do kind of an activity or something as a larger group. But the smaller groups would meet in a classroom and we were given materials essentially like pool noodles and marbles and tape and told to create a marble run around the entire room. We all had to work together. We made this huge marble run. It was so cool, and I still remember it as an adult. And this can definitely be done on a smaller scale inside in your house using painter's tape so it doesn't rip the paint off, or outside on a fence or on a wall. A similar version to this is exploring ramps with Legos or blocks and pieces of cardboard or cut up cereal boxes to explore how a ball might roll based on the size of the ramp. And lots of fun. Another kind of classic, right, is the baking soda and vinegar experiment. Making a volcano is what we always call it. But instead of having to create a volcano, because nobody has time for that unless they're doing it for science fair, this is essentially taking those components and putting it into a sensory tub or a tray for exploration. As a TWOS teacher, this is something, again, that I did weekly. And as a parent, I always have this kind of as an option for the kids to get out and explore. Because whatever tub it's in, it actually cleans the tub and then they can clean different things within it. So we all use baking soda and vinegar for cleaning in some form or fashion. And so exploring with this kind of serves two purposes. And it's also super fun and exciting to see how they interact with each other. In this example, there are eyedroppers where they're taking the liquid and putting it into the baking soda that's in the tray. They're using ice cube trays to hold the liquid, which is genius. And then I always add a little bit of food coloring or liquid watercolor to my vinegar in this so that you can really see the reaction and then the colors can combine, which is then a whole other conversation to have about colors. So this is one of our favorites. Another one that's great, it's easy and short. So if your child is struggling and you need 5 minutes to entertain them or to do something that gets them to think, doing the water in the plastic bag experiment is a great thing for that. Essentially, you take a plastic sandwich bag, fill it with water, hold it, and then stick pencils through it, and it doesn't leak. So it allows for a lot of conversations about why that might happen. You can do this outside if you're nervous, or do it over a sink, and then have your child remove the pencils and then see what happens. Why, when the pencils were in, did the water not leak, but when I took it out, the water came out? Again, a lot of conversation can happen around this. Frozen animal rescue is a great hot day activity. It is really hot today and it's going to be hot all week. So take some animals, stick them in a bowl with water, freeze it, plop it out into a tub or a larger bowl, and allow your child to explore. There are so many different ways of doing this. You can use hammers and chisels to chisel them out. In this picture, they used empty glue bottles and put colored water in it. And then in the cups, it's salt that they actually colored with food coloring as well. And then tongs and spoons and forks, so that when you put some salt on top of the ice and then spray it with water, you can really see the ice and the water kind of start to eat, or the water and the salt start to eat away at the ice, which is really cool and fun. The addition of color makes it more exciting for children, but also you can see the chemical reaction happen a little bit more. So that is a super fun one. You can also do this with Jell-O, minus the salt and the water. You can put animals in Jell-O and then give them tongs or things to kind of try to get them out with. And then they can have a little snack while they're playing too. Kills two birds with one stone. Another activity that's more of kind of a science experiment that can be done independently or with a parent is the what melts in the sun experiment. So there are so many directions to take this, and this can be a great e-learning activity or a summer learning activity that helps them work on handwriting, math, and science and critical thinking skills. So having them write down what they want to explore and see if it will melt. Have them hypothesize or guess, do I think this will melt, yes or no, and having them write that down. Trying out the experiment and then coming back and comparing. Was I correct in my hypothesis or not? Why or why not? And then you can also have them draw kind of as they're exploring. So you basically take some items, stick it in a muffin tray and stick it outside in the sun, and they can go out periodically and check to see the changes and draw a picture. This is what the cheese cube looked like when I started. After 10 minutes, this is what it looks like. And now after an hour, this is what it looks like. Also having them write down what it smells like, what it feels like, what it tastes like if you want to try it, allows you to kind of take this experiment and really go in a lot of different directions. Marble maze is a great independent activity for a school ager to be able to take some tape or some Legos or some Play-Doh and a marble and create a path and use the maze. We've all played with those toys as children. That is that teeny tiny ball inside of a box with a maze that we have to kind of get it from one side to the other side. This is giving them that opportunity to problem solve and create one and then try it out. And if it doesn't work, why? And try it again. Kind of change it, adapt, and try it again. Additionally, you have the spaghetti tower challenge, which is taking spaghetti and mini marshmallows or spaghetti noodles and tape and creating a structure with it. This is something that your little ones can do as well as your older ones. With your little ones, I like to use Play-Doh as my connector so that they can stick the spaghetti in the Play-Doh, or use a colander that you turn upside down, and instead of them building a structure alongside of maybe their older sibling or you, they're trying to stick the spaghetti noodles in the hole of the colander, which is a fantastic fine motor skill and a pre-writing skill for your toddlers. Next is building catapults. Again, this is something that can be done independently or a family challenge. This is a great weekend activity to say, hey guys, we're going to build catapults. What do you think we might need? And then maybe everyone builds one together or everyone builds one separate. In the picture, you'll see that they made catapults from a wooden spoon and some paper towel rolls all the way to getting PVC piping and anywhere in between. So there are a lot of different ways to build a catapult and a lot of different tools that you can find around home to create this. And then try launching things and see how far they go. Everyone loves to launch things out of a catapult. Here is an example of a smaller loose parts play. We all lose pieces of puzzles or games, and then the game is junk, we have to throw it away. Loose parts play is a great way of recycling those materials. So those pieces, chess pieces or character pieces, are all things that you can add to like this loose parts tub of materials. Get a large Tupperware tub, stick them all in there, keep them together, and then they can kind of create or explore with them. And what's great about loose parts play, again, is that there's no wrong or right way to explore, and the possibilities are endless. This is also a great independent play activity. You give them the materials and let them go to town while you're doing something else. So now I'm going to share kind of the last couple activities are store-bought materials. I know that there are some of you watching this that are like, I'm not exploding ivory soap. Like, I'm just not that parent. It is what it is, and that's cool. Like, we all respect that, right? So we are all parenting at different levels, and we have different comfort levels with things. And we all know what we're capable of and what we have time for. We also know our children best. So we might be looking at some of these like, yeah, that's not for my kid. What can I buy on Amazon that will engage them and support STEM skills that I don't really need to be involved in either? So everyone, do you, and don't allow anyone to judge you for those choices. You do you as a parent. These are one of my very favorite toys that we have in our house. I bought them for my daughter for her first birthday for a bathtub toy. And really, they go everywhere with us. They're in the bathtub, they're in the car, they're outside, they're in the playroom, they're everywhere. And they're called squigs. They're made of silicone, so you can throw them in the dishwasher. They don't mold. They're not like a traditional bath toy that water gets trapped in. And they can be used in so many different ways. It's a silicone toy that has suction cups on the ends. You can kind of see in the picture what I mean by that. So they can stick together. So you can build structures and stick them onto windows and walls. And they do come in 3 sizes. So they have the Pit Squigs, which are the infant toys. It's a 3-pack and they're very large, about the size of your hand. These are the traditional squigs, which are suitable for infants on up. They're large enough that they are not a choking hazard, but small enough for your school agers to still build and create with them. And then they also have the mini squigs, which are about half the size of these. They are a choking hazard for infants and toddlers, so they're more appropriate for your child as they get older, but they come in a 50-pack. So this is probably a 25-pack that the squigs come in. The mini squigs come in a 50-pack. So there is a lot there to work with and a lot to create with. And you could find them on Amazon. You can find them a lot of times at Marshall's, TJ Maxx, or Nordstrom Rack. If you're comfortable going out, I just buy everything on Amazon because it's easier. These are also a great first, second, third birthday idea for loved ones. Next is Botley, the coding robot. My son got this for Christmas a few years ago, and it has been so much fun. It is a very affordable coding robot. It does so many different things. You can pre-program codes that Botley comes with, or the child can make up their own code. They put the code in, and then Botley follows the path that was set by the child. My daughter loves playing with this. My son loves playing with it. My daughter as an infant loved following Botley around while my son was coding and Botley was driving around our living room. And Botley does drive on carpet, which is nice because some of these coding robots, they don't work very well on carpet, but Botley does. And Botley was designed for little hands. So he's not going to break like a more expensive model might. And lastly, it's the Snap Circuit Kit. These have been around forever. They come in various sizes and do various different things. But this particular kit, my son got last summer as a gift because he broke his collarbone. And so there wasn't very many things that he was able to do other than sit down and kind of do an activity with one hand. And he broke the collarbone on his left arm and he's left-handed. So that kind of then decreased the amount of things that he could do. So the Snap Circuit Kit was one of those things that he loved doing and he still loves doing. I like playing with this too. He sometimes catches me playing with this after he is done and goes off to explore. There is a booklet of over 100 different circuits that they can make, but they can also make their own. Our favorite one is building a circuit that when you turn it off and on quickly, this little yellow disc flies into the air and you can catch it. And who doesn't love a flying saucer? I mean, really. So those are 20 different things that you can provide for your child or do with your child that will build their curiosity and STEM skills. So I would love to hear from you all about some things that you do that may not have made this list or questions that you might have. So I just want to say thank you for attending Orange You Great. You're doing a great job parenting. Keep up the good work. So Ruth asks, do you recommend any book ideas for reading? When it comes to STEM, I love anything about building. There are a lot of great books about building. There's also a lot of books on kind of the top 10 things to do in this area or top 10 science experiments. Those are books that I don't buy, I borrow from the library, because they're books that we're going to do them or we're going to read them and then we've kind of checked it off of our list and we want to move on to something else. So they're not worth buying, but there are a lot of books about building. There's an infant toddler book called Bridges, and Scholastic makes it. And what I love about the book is it comes in English and Spanish, so the words are in both English and Spanish. And then it talks about building a ramp for a car and how to get over a track, but it's done with blocks. So it gets the child to think about the process of, I use this block, but this doesn't work. Now what do I need? And essentially they have to take the triangle blocks and the rectangular square box and kind of put them together in order to make this bridge for this car. Something that they can then translate into play and create it at home. There's also great books like Good Night Construction Site. And there's some other construction books, which I can kind of do some research and type up and send those into an email later, that talk about the process of building things or creating things. So whether you're looking for a book of ideas or just a book that kind of builds these same skills, there's a lot out there. There's also clubs like KiwiCo that are subscription services that will send you STEM activities monthly, which might be a great option for some families too. All right, well, that seems like it for questions and comments. Hopefully you have things to try tonight and tomorrow and the next night. I know it's really hot this week, so we're looking for things to cool ourselves down. So explore the ice outside or do some of these inside. I hope you guys have a lot of fun.